Welcome back to Grid Drop. Today we're finally here with F123. I know it's been out for kind of a little while now, but I've been busy, so I finally got my hands on it. And I'll tell you, it feels a lot better than F122, so you can expect to see much more of this on my channel. It's definitely a lot more fun to play. So getting right into it, we're going to be starting a MyTeam Career Mode. Going to start as a newcomer to F1, so we kind of a backmarker car and have to work our way to the top. And along with that, we're going to be doing a full-length season, so every single track on the calendar will be included. So that's a 23 race calendar for our career mode. Getting right into it now, we're going to start with our custom character creation. We're going to be racing as Eli Cash. So that's what you can expect from our MyTeam Career Mode. But getting right into our team creation now, this is our title sponsor selection. You can see on the bottom there's different requirements for our weekly income and overall goal bonus. So we're going to shoot for the stars here and go with Xenon Dynamics, which is the highest signing bonus and most difficult goal to achieve. Along with that, we're going to be signing Mercedes as our engine supplier, as it has the best performance and durability. And our teammate, given we are too broke to sign Teo Porchero, we're going to go with Enzo Fittipaldi. So he will be our teammate for this season.
New year, new drivers, new team. Welcome and great to have you with us as we move far away from the paddock to the headquarters of the newest outfit on the Formula One grid. What are they aiming for? Most excited about? Most nervous for? Well, soon we will meet them to find out. But first, let's take a look at the brand new car.
So that is our car for the season. I think it's a very beautiful livery. We're racing as Rosberg Racing, based on Nico Rosberg, which is one of my favorite drivers. The livery is really nice, kind of a metallic green, gloss white kind of accents throughout, and just little hints of teal, as Nico Rosberg had those kind of little bits of teal on his, his helmet, his gloves, his shoes, and everything. So kind of a nice little tribute to Nico Rosberg. I think it's pretty cool. And we do also have Mercedes as our engine supplier, and they do have that kind of Petronas teal color. So definitely a nice little tribute to Mercedes and Nico Rosberg. So I think that's a pretty cool touch on the livery. And you can see in the logo as well, that's where we have that little bit of teal. So overall, I think it's very, very cool, and I'm excited to be racing with this livery. I think it looks very, very good, especially compared to the ones they had last year. But getting straight into upgrades now, we do have a weight distribution upgrade already in the works on our car, and now we're going to add an aero upgrade for rear downforce, I believe. Looking at the performance index, there is a clear lack of aero and chassis upgrades on our car. Our engine and reliability are both pretty high compared to the rest of the field, so I'm not really going to have to worry about that for the first few races. So we're going to put most of our research and development into aero and chassis. But yeah, Bahrain's a pretty strong track for me. It's definitely nice to have as the opening circuit, so we should be on for a pretty good race here. But it is my first race on F123, so we'll have to see how it goes. Getting into practice now, the car definitely feels a lot better than the cars in F122. I've seen other people talk about this, and I really wanted to test it out for myself, but having the base model kind of backmarker car in F122 was unbearable to drive. It was really difficult. You could never really tell when it was going to understeer or oversteer. Traction out of corners was just absolutely horrendous, and overall just was not balanced. Every single track you had to really go very in-depth on the setup menu and really tweak everything, and just spend a lot of time kind of perfecting each track and the car setup for each track, and it was really just not an enjoyable experience. Overall, this car, obviously being kind of a base model backmarker, so much better to drive. The traction is unbelievable compared to F122. There is still a little bit of wheel spin on corner exit. You can see maybe a little bit right there in fourth gear, but yeah, overall definitely a lot better. So I'm feeling very comfortable in practice. and now we're getting straight into qualifying. So this is our first run in Q1. This is a banker time. We set a 1:33.0. I think there was definitely a lot more time to find on that lap. It wasn't perfect. And I believe at the end of FP3, people were setting probably, I think, like 1:32.0s, maybe high 1:31s. Obviously, those are, you know, the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, the Mercedes. So we shouldn't be aiming for times like that, but I definitely had some confidence to get some more time on this lap. So you can see up through Sector 2 now, 6/10 positive in the Delta, and we're starting into Sector 3 now, and much cleaner through here. The car feels very nimble, it feels very balanced, and you can see coming up to the line here, we actually unfortunately lose a little bit of our time. Hopefully this is enough to get us out of Q1, only improving by about 4/10, and we place 11th in qualifying 1, so that is going to get us out of the first qualifying session, which is huge for a backmarker newcomer team. Our first qualifying session in F1, and we are out of qualifying 1. Unfortunately, our teammate placed in 22nd. He just didn't really, I guess he didn't really have the mojo today, but yeah, so pretty solid performance. I would honestly be happy starting 15th or 16th. Like, I was not expecting to get out of Q1. So another banker time, unfortunately, going much slower than our first banker time in Q1. So definitely have to find some more time on this lap. Like I said, our last lap in Q1, we were improving by about 8/10, and to the last corner, we lost a couple of those tenths. So we do have a lot more time to find. You can see in the top right, the Delta is negative by 6/10, almost 7/10 now down the back straight. So definitely finding a lot more time on this lap. Unfortunately, not really as much as I think we had. Definitely potential for a better lap. Unfortunately, just still getting used to the car and this game. So not necessarily the best lap, but still a pretty solid one. So we'll see where this is going to put us for the race. This should be our starting position, and we're starting 15th for the race in Bahrain.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Albon, Joe, Cowboy, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Sargent, De Vries, Sargent. And now it's time to head down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
All right, here we are on the grid for our first ever race in Formula 1. Obviously going to be using a mediums to hard strategy. Unfortunately, the car just won't have the tire degradation to use softs in this race or the early stages of the season at all. So definitely going to be a lot of mediums to hard strategy at the beginning of the season. But 5 red lights and we are racing in Bahrain, and wow, what a start. The traction is so much better than F123. This is absolutely insane. Flying off the line, making up places left and right, already into 13th, dive bombing up the inside now into 10th place. A little bit of contact at the apex of turn 1 right there with Lewis Hamilton. You can see the Aston Martins are kind of side by side right there. Lance Stroll goes up the inside of us, and we take 10th place, which is a really good start. We were flying off the line. The traction was so much better. I was probably inputting about half throttle on the start right there, and F122, it had to be a very specific, I think it was like a 9 to 11,000 RPM, and even that was just, you felt like you were crawling off the line. The AI just completely dusted you. So much better starting on F123. I'm very glad that that has been sort of fixed, or just made a little bit easier for the player, because the starts in F122 were just absolutely terrible. They were very bad. But yeah, really good start. 5 places. We'll take another look at the start here. You can see the 5 red lights are on, and away everyone goes. So keep an eye out for the number 7 car of the Rosberg Racing livery. And yeah, really good start. We'll see an onboard here. You can see just flying up the inside of this Williams. Unfortunately, a little bit of weaving from the cars in front, so I had to go really close to the inside. And unfortunately, that's what led to a little bit of a lockup and a contact with Hamilton. But I did check the MFD, and there was no damage to my front wing. And I doubt that the Mercedes would have any damage either. It was a very light touch, so I'm not really too concerned with that. Didn't even really get a warning for that either, so not really too concerned. But still behind this pack of cars ahead. We are still in 10th place. Very good first lap. Just kept touch to Lance Stroll ahead, made sure to keep the gap to Gasly behind, sort of consistent. I'm not expecting to remain in the top 10 the entire race. I can tell these guys are much faster. So it's probably going to be a race of a lot of defense. Just trying to keep whoever we can behind. Unfortunately, there's a lot of long straights and heavy braking zones in Bahrain. That's just the nature of the circuit. So it's going to be, might be a little bit difficult to keep these guys behind if they're going to be aggressive at all. So we'll have to see later down the line. But as of right now, keeping up with these guys pretty solidly. They are bunched up because it's the beginning of the race. They're slowing each other down. They're all bunched up in the braking zone. So luckily for me right now, I'm able to keep touch of these guys ahead. Just as I say that, a huge kick of wheel spin on the sort of mid corner right there, which leads to a lot of oversteer. You can see a replay right there. It looks like we're drifting through the corner. This is Gasly's view of his onboard, and that was a very scary moment on lap 2, which could have ended our race if we weren't careful. But Gasly is going to take advantage of this, going up the inside into the final corner of lap 2. And luckily we have the traction to stick it around the outside, and he won't make that move stick. So very scary moment right there. Luckily keeping it out of the wall. If I had the throttle down a little bit longer, I think we probably would have had a little bit of an accident. Sonoda going up the inside now. Just as I was saying earlier, this is going to be a lot of defending this race. The cars behind are definitely faster. So 2 Alpines and 2 AlphaTauris behind is probably going to prove to be a little bit of an issue. But gaining on Sonoda now in the slipstream, up the inside into, I believe this is turn 4, and that's a pretty solid move. I was a little far back for that one, definitely risky, but I want to keep this 10th place as long as I can. Points on our first race would be a very nice first result. You see a lot of, a big moment on the curb right there, and a little bit of wheel spin on corner exit right here, and luckily we can save that one too.
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 7.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're 22nd. Your last lap time was a 1:37.5.
So our teammate Enzo is still in last place, which is not necessarily the greatest. We're in 10th, so we really need him to start pulling his weight a little bit more. He can make some overtakes. He's probably not really fighting the people I'm fighting. You can see as Ocon goes up the inside now into the final corner of the lap. We're going to stick it around the outside. Hopefully we have enough traction to make this move work. He kind of backs out up the inside now, and that actually leaves a huge gap to Ocon behind. We're going to have DRS now. Hopefully this allows us to kind of get away on the straights, but it looks like Gasly is going to go for a move now. We're going to defend the inside, stick to the inside. He's going to go around the outside of turn 1, and this should be a pretty easy move to defend against. As long as we break at relatively the same point, I'm going to have the advantage to that corner. But I do have to say it is fantastic driving in F123 compared to the last game. The difference in traction it was very prevalent in that little exchange with Ocon in that final corner of that last lap. The fact that I had the confidence to stick it around the outside and he kind of backed out, it was nice to be able to drive the car the way you've always wanted to. F122 had so many problems with traction. You had to be so diligent on the throttle. It almost felt unrealistic. You put in 1% too much input through midway through a corner, and you'd spin. Especially on high-speed corners, you'd be spinning. When the car produces mechanical grip in real life, that's not exactly how it works. So it felt a little too arcadey, and now it feels much better. So that it's very nice to be able to drive the car the way you want to. But you can see Gasly just backing out of a move into turn 1 now. These guys are still attacking me from behind. The Alpines are very, very feisty this race. They're clearly faster. Unfortunately, they're just not really gaining the top speeds on the straights when they have DRS, and I assume they're using their battery as well on that main straight. But that's really the only place they're making moves. So into turn 4, they're not really close enough to go for a dive bomb. And on this back straight as well, they're not ever really close enough to go for anything serious. So it's looking like as long as we can defend... Wow, a little bit of a wheel spin right there. It's looking like as long as we can defend into turn 1 and that second straight leading into turn 4, we should be pretty much good to score a point in this race. Obviously, we're going to have to keep driving very consistently, carefully avoid mistakes, and just make sure the pace is, remains consistent. But yeah, I don't think, as long as I can keep defending into turn 1 and into turn 4, we should be good. They don't really get too close anywhere else. But we'll have to see as the race goes on, especially once the pit stops come into effect, because hopefully that doesn't ruin the race strategy or anything like that. But you can see Gasly going around the outside now, and it looks like we should be able to take that back, sticking to the inside. Luckily, a little bit more brave on the throttle than Gasly was through the exit of turn 1 into turn 2, and we have the traction to keep that place back. So Alpines are definitely getting much, much feistier as this race goes on. Only on lap 8 now, so we still have a couple laps until the pit window opens, and every single lap they're getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer, so really, really have to be careful here. As you can see, both the Alpines now, it looks like Ocon's going to be going up the inside now, and he might actually get this move done. We go a little bit wide on the apex of turn 1, and Ocon's going to have that move. So hopefully we can have a little bit of something on this straight to get us close. It looks like we're going to go for a move up the inside. Kind of a late braking decision right there. You can see a little bit of hesitation on my end, but luckily that move works out. So that was the closest they've gotten so far. The Alpines are really, really attacking now. Ocon had a really good run through turn 1 and 2. Luckily I had DRS and could use my battery, and I can grab that place right back. I don't really have to worry about him too much, but we're on lap 11 now, and these guys are definitely getting much feistier. So hopefully we can keep them fended off until at least the pit window opens. If I do get jumped in the pits, I won't be too upset about it. Obviously it'll put us out of the points. We'll have to kind of fight our way back, but at least we're racing these guys pretty hard. So pretty pleased with the performance of this car so far. It feels very, very nice to drive. And honestly, I can fight with these Alpines pretty well. The gap in front has opened up quite dramatically to Lance Stroll due to all this fighting with these Alpines. Even more fighting is to come with Gasly going up the inside into the final corner on lap 11. We're going to do the same move, stick it around the outside, and he doesn't really back out too much of that move, so he's right behind us on the main straight now. It looks like his teammate Ocon is behind him as well. They're both going to be passing me on the main straight now. Both of them have DRS. I have nothing to fight with besides the battery. Going to go for a really late braking move into turn 1 now, locking up the fronts, go way, way deep into turn 1. The Alpines get the switch back, and now they're both ahead of me yet again. So 2 places out of the points right now, fighting back into turn 4. Gasly's going a little bit slowly on the exit. Maybe go for a move around the outside of Esteban Ocon here. Gasly comes around the outside, kind of pushes me into his teammate, and luckily that kind of slows him down and lets me go right through the middle of them. So that was definitely an intense sequence of events right there, as both Alpines get me into turn 1, and on the exit of turn 4 I get them both back. So we'll see a replay here. Went really, really deep into turn 1. Like I said, the Alpines get the switch back, and unfortunately I think Gasly just had a bad exit. Unfortunately for him, I should say. So luckily we could get him on the straight, and the move around the outside of Ocon, it looks like I might have braked a little bit too early for that move to stick, but Gasly kind of bumps me into Ocon. We do make a little bit of contact. I hit his right rear just slightly, and I think that either kind of shook him up or maybe just slowed him down a little bit, but it worked out. I didn't even get a warning for contact, so I suppose that the stewards believe that move to be legal. But Gasly going up the inside yet again into the final corner of lap 12 now, so really just a lot of fighting with these Alpines. Luckily we have DRS this time around, as he was closer, he was past us once we got to the detection zone. But man, it's very stressful. Alonso coming out of the pit lane now. We're going to overtake him around the outside. we're not really fighting Fernando Alonso, but we'll take that place and see what happens if we do. So looks like Alonso's going to be fighting up the inside. I think we're going to give him a little bit of a fight here, stick it around the outside. Hopefully we can make this move work. Very, very confident. You can see over 50% input on the throttle right there. Really, really just relying on the traction of this car. It feels so much better to drive than the F122 cars. Just so much more reliability on the traction. You can really, really lean into the car and trust that the mechanical grip is going to kick in. And through those kind of medium speed corners, you'll be able to make it through with a pretty, solid throttle input. But Fernando Alonso is still behind us. He's going to be definitely gaining on us on this straight. He has a brand new set of medium compound tires. So Fernando, I assume, went from hards to mediums. So he's definitely going to get this place. Ours are 13 laps worn, so he should be flying past us. So we're just going to let him go. The fight with him is not really worth the energy. So Fernando, you can be free and try to go fight those guys in front. But we're going to stick to our fight with the Alpines, and hopefully we can keep these guys behind. But lap 13 now, going to be in the pit lane this lap. The pit window is open. So we're now coming in for a brand new set of hard compound tires. Coming to the pit lane entry, pit limiter is on. Luckily, no 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane, and that is a very nice looking livery coming down the pit lane. It really looks good, in my opinion. I think it looks nice. But good was the decision for my entry on the pit stop. I think I did it with about 0.4 seconds remaining, which is what you used to do on F122. Maybe they got a little bit more precise with the timing on that for this year's game. But nonetheless, we're on a new set of hard compound tires. And this is where we're going to see how hard it is to warm up the new set of tires. On the last game, it was nearly impossible to drive a full lap on brand new tires. You can see Logan Sargent coming up the inside now. I believe he has yet to stop, so not really too concerned about him. We'll give him a little bit of a fight, though. I just really want to keep this place and just not lose anything after a pit stop. But yeah, like I was saying, the tire warm-up situation in F122 was just absolute misery. It felt like the first full lap after the pit stop, you were driving on ice cubes, and every other AI car would probably triple your pace, or it felt like it at least. You just felt like a snail. So so far it feels really, really good. The tires just feel like they're brand new tires. It doesn't really feel like I have to warm them up too much at all, which is definitely a nice improvement for just at least the driving experience of this game, let alone realism or anything. But just driving the car out of the pit lane, it feels a lot nicer to be driving on brand new tires, especially hard compound tires, given that they're going to have kind of a bigger window, a longer time period to warm these tires up than the softs and the mediums. But on to lap 15 now. Logan Sargent was giving us a little bit of a run for our money, but just as I say that, Logan Sargent goes up the inside into turn one, and he actually clears us by quite a bit. We don't even have really enough space to fight back into turn one. He gets a good bit of traction through the exit of turn one, turn two, turn three, and now into turn four. He's just a little bit too far away. We do potentially look for a move right there. Unfortunately, I got a little scared about making contact with him, so I had to run wide a little bit. Just felt like we were a little bit too close to the back of him. I wasn't really too sure if the car was going to be fully stopped by the time we got to the rear of that Williams. But yeah, so I think the strategy right now is, I guess, just to use Logan Sargent for his DRS. I believe he is on a two-stop strategy, 3-tire compound strategy. I believe he started on softs, and he's going to go soft, medium, medium. So we don't really have to worry too much about passing him, as long as we can stick in his DRS and just stick close to him. He should kind of drag us along with DRS, and he does have a faster compound of tires, so sticking behind him might not really be a bad idea. I just want to make sure we're in front of the Alpines. I do know Ocon is out of the pit lane. It looks like Gasly might be behind both the Haas cars right there, so I'm not really too sure. I'd have to check the race director, but yeah, so the Williams of Sargent is in front. It looks like the Williams of Alex Albon is going to be pulling away too now. Even though we do have DRS and we're using the battery, Albon and Sargent are both faster than us, so they really do have very, very quick straight line speed. Unfortunately, not really close enough to go for a move. They are going side by side anyway, so I'm not really too sure what I could do there. But on to the kind of second straight now, switching to the inside very aggressively. We're going 3 wide, it looks like, now into turn 4. Really late lunge into turn 4, up the inside of Logan Sargent now, and past both of the Williams. So we could use his DRS for a little bit, and now we're going to just benefit from that DRS and get both of them in one go. You can see that's a nice, pretty nice move up the inside of both these cars. And this is Logan Sargent saying goodbye to us. So, yeah, Williams are definitely pretty quick in a straight line. That's definitely something to look out for future races. They flew past me much, much quicker than the Alpines ever could in the first, 17 laps of this race. So that's definitely something to look out for if we ever find ourselves racing them again. But anyway, on to lap 18 now of this race. It looks like Albon is going to go for a move up the inside. Gasly looks like could be shaping up for a move around the outside. We're going to let Albon have the inside. He wasn't really close enough. A little bit of contact with Albon. That was actually a very, very scary moment right there. I could have lost the rear of the car right there. I think he might have gotten kind of pushed or maybe hit the curb and went into the side of us because I wasn't turning in too aggressively, or I didn't feel like it at least. And again, no warning for contact, so I believe that might have been on him in the eyes of the stewards. But yeah, don't see any front wing damage on the MFD yet again. We've really lucked out with no damage somehow. We had that little run-in with Hamilton at the very beginning. We did make a little bit of contact with Ocon and now contact with Albon. So luckily the front wing is still intact and in one piece and not really hindering our race performance at all. But Ocon has now overtaken Alex Albon. He's behind me. So again, the Alpines are going to be attacking. It looks like Ocon's going to go for another move into the final corner up the inside. We're going to let him have this one, given that we're going to have DRS on this main straight. So I do like when they attack into the final corner because it gives us DRS on the main straight. We can just kind of breeze by and not really have to worry about a real threat into turn 1. So pretty much alongside into the braking zone now. We're going to have the inside. Very, very easy, relaxed move on the Alpine of Ocon right there, and we can just get by. Very, very simple move into turn 1. It's very nice to not be stressing out about the Alpines behind into turn 1 and turn 4. So it's nice to be on the attack for a change. But it is pretty interesting. The Alpines have been pretty much swapping places constantly throughout this race in order to try to take that last points position off of me. So luckily I've not not been letting that happen. We're still in 10th place. Obviously the gap in front now is just, gargantuan. There's no way we're going to chase down Lance Stroll or Lando Norris. They're pretty much completely out of reach unless there is some type of safety car or some type of huge incident with one of them, or of course unless they have a mechanical failure or something like that. But if everyone else remains in this race, it looks like 10th place is definitely going to be the maximum. But 10th place might not even be a minimum with these Alpines still fighting us. Definitely getting close in the braking zone of the last corner right there. And into turn 1 now. You can see how much time they're gaining on this main straight. They're absolutely flying. You can see Gasly going for a move around the outside right there. We're going to have the inside yet again, and we can kind of cover him off right there and close the door with our traction out of turn 1. So it really does feel like deja vu every single lap. The Alpines are very consistently fighting for this 10th place position. But lap 23 out of 29 now. I do notice I have been checking the fuel every once in a while, and we're definitely getting pretty low in terms of making it towards, making it to the end of the race. So we might have to do some lifting and coasting, which is definitely not what we want. You can see Ocon going up the inside yet again into turn 1 here. We're going to go around the outside. Hopefully we can make something stick around the outside, going very, very wide right there. Unfortunately, braking a little bit too late, and that's going to give Ocon the advantage out of turn 1. Onto this straight into turn 4. Looks like we can probably go for a move up the inside now, switching to the inside. Braking pretty evenly with Ocon, and that should give us the advantage out of turn 4. And now we are starting into sector 2. So, oh man, yeah, it's very, very annoying to be fighting these guys, the entire race. But you can see Ocon actually losing out to Gasly right there. and the second Alpine overtakes him. So like I said, they're constantly swapping places throughout the entirety of this race to really desperately try to take this position off of me. But yeah, so lap 27 to 29 now. Skipped ahead a couple laps. I've been able to keep these guys behind at bay, so not really too much to see there. I have been struggling a little bit with fuel. I've been lifting and coasting a lot. You can see in the bottom right of the screen right there the fuel situation. I did take a good amount out before the race started just because I knew that we weren't going to be as fast as these guys in front. And in this case, these guys behind are much faster too. So I knew that we needed every advantage that we could get as a team. And you can see Gasly going up the inside now into the final corner yet again. And he sort of backs out as we go around the outside. I'm not really too sure why they back out so much into that corner. It's kind of weird. But we have DRS now, just me and Gasly, so we should be able to kind of take this position back pretty smoothly. But yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of lifting and coasting just to make sure we can make it to the end. And yeah, I did take out a pretty good amount of fuel. So luckily, we should be fine to make it to the end of the race. You can see Gasly going maybe for a move around the outside now into turn 4. We're going to have the inside. Not really too much of a threat right there. And our teammate is out of the race. There was a yellow flag on the main straight. I don't really know what exactly happened. But he is out of the race, so we'll see a replay in a second here. But that is definitely not what you wanted to see. Coming around turn 1, and it looks like he just has some type of mechanical failure. So Enzo, our teammate for Rosberg Racing F1 team, is out of the race. That's definitely a huge bummer. Not really the result you want on your first race in F1 as a driver and as a team. That's definitely not ideal. So that's definitely disappointing, and we'll have to look into reliability. But you can see a little bit of contact, it looks like, with the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. He goes up the inside now, kind of hit our right rear and sort of sent us into kind of a half spin right there. And luckily we could just save it. But around the outside now, he backs out yet again. It's very weird that they're backing out so drastically out of that last corner. But on to the final lap now, and hopefully this Alpine nightmare will end pretty soon. But as we begin our last lap, Max Verstappen finishes his last lap. He is the winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm sure this will not be his last victory. And it looks like he had a pretty convincing win as well. You couldn't even really see anyone else behind him. So just like real life, Max Verstappen wins by a long shot. So on our last lap now, you can see in the top left right there, Kevin Magnussen has overtaken both of the Alpines. So I'm wondering if they have any type of issue, or Magnussen is just really pushing on this last lap. But it's all for nothing. I am in the last points position. Pretty solid race to be able to hang on to 10th place all race long. We got those 5 positions off the start, and luckily we were able to defend the entirety of the race. It was definitely very difficult to keep these guys behind. A lot of managing the battery, a lot of managing fuel, especially at the very end, but we made it work. So our first debut race, Rosberg Racing F1 team, Eli Cash takes his first point home, and that's a good feeling to be finishing 10th after quite a long race, to be honest. A lot of drama with the Alpines behind. Ocon gets driver of the day, which I think that should have been me. But yeah, 1 point for Rosberg Racing F1 team. That's definitely very nice. It looks like our teammate was the only DNF of the race. So that's definitely a disappointment. We'll have to look into that for reliability. But yeah, definitely a good race overall. So if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be posting plenty more of this game. It's definitely really fun. The physics are so much better than F122. The AI seems to be a lot smarter as well. And it feels good to drive the car the way you want to. I know I said that throughout the course of the video, but it is really a nice feeling to be able to rely on that kind of mechanical grip through those medium speed corners. Whereas F122, if you 1% too much throttle and you were completely out of the race. So it's definitely a lot more enjoyable to drive on this game, and I'm having a lot of fun just from this one race. So very exciting. I do have a couple more videos on Assetto Corsa. I want to finish up that championship. So if you are watching that series, thank you first of all. And that will be wrapped up shortly, and then I'm going to spend a little bit more time focusing on the F1 game since it's brand new. And this is originally what my channel was created for, so definitely got to spend some more time focusing on this game. But yeah, so overall, pretty good race. 1 point for Rosberg Racing F1 team. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.